Hi everyone, welcome to Your Stars Within. I'm Little Wave. I'm here to talk about astrology. As promised, today I want to talk about the polar opposites. My guess is that you've dated yours or have a lot of them in your life, close friends, people around you, and I want to talk a little bit about why. This is also going to begin us with the houses and help you to begin to understand them. I get a lot of questions from people about the houses and what does it mean if something's in this house. So I'm going to start a series to talk about all of the different possible planets that could be in the houses and talk to you about what that means. But I think that this is a good precursor for that. Please feel free to check out my Facebook, my Insta, or my blog, Your Stars Within. There's a lot of articles on there that can be helpful to you. I do offer readings and interpretations, but my real passion is teaching people who are interested in learning about astrology. All right, so let's get started. Polar opposites are the sign directly across from each other. It could be called an opposition. And so we'll start with the first sign, which is Aries, which is also the first house, which is how the stuff will later relate to houses. And its polar opposite is Libra, which will be the seventh house directly across from it. So Aries, I don't know what you know about Aries, but Aries is the ram. It's headstrong. It's impulsive. It's very much about me, I. Aries doesn't think a whole lot about other people. Are they okay? Do they need something? How did what I say affect them? These are not thoughts that even go through an Aries mind, okay? So an Aries is very impulsive. I want and I do it very quickly. They're a spark. And directly across from them is Libra. Libra tends towards being the people pleaser, the one who wants to make everybody happy, have peace, but often when they're imbalanced at all cost, right? So not always having integrity or not always standing up for what's right if it's not going to keep the peace. So you can see, I want you to understand that polar opposites, they're a spectrum. So with Aries and Libra, you have I and you have we. Libra is very concerned with the we. Are we okay? Do we have peace? And Libra tends to bring a lot of peace to its relationships. It tends to have nice relationships with people, to think positively about others, to interact nicely with them, to be thoughtful of them at times. And aware and attentive, things like that. So I and we, or I and you, right? So these are opposites of each other. And in the houses, right, the first house is myself and the seventh house is my partner. So again, the I and the we, it comes back. So next we have a Taurus and Scorpio. Taurus is the second sign in the zodiac and therefore the second house. And Scorpio is the eighth and the eighth house. And so they have a dynamic of stability in Taurus. Taurus is the bull, and it's very stable. It's grounded. It's an earth sign. It's very aware of its material possessions, yes, but its sense of safety in the world. Do I have enough? And Scorpio, on the other hand, is the transformative quality, right? It's much more worried about the spiritual elements or the transforming, right? To transform, things must end. We can't build buildings on buildings. Things have to be cleared out, taken away, and new things built. But there's a clearing process or a destructive process, right? To have creation, you must have destruction. And so part of that process in Scorpio is the clearing out or the destruction to create. And of course, stable Taurus goes, whoa, 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 this makes me really uncomfortable. I don't want to have all this change. I like stability. So again, this dichotomy, to have balance, we don't want to be all on one end or the other. Our third house and our third sign is Gemini. And our ninth sign and ninth house is Sagittarius. They're directly opposite each other. And Gemini's the twins, and they're chatty and they're social and they like to go out and talk. They can talk to anybody. They can make friends with anybody. You know, if you have a Gemini friend, you tend to go out with them, and just everywhere you go, you make friends. You're talking to everybody, right? Now, this could be true of other signs as well. It's true of Aries. You know, it's true of other signs, but it's particularly true of Geminis. So, a Gemini and a Sagittarius is an adventurer. But a Sagittarius and the ninth house is known also for philosophy, higher thinking, deeper thinking, that more philosophical aspect of life. Whereas Gemini is chat, 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 and in the negative, sometimes gossipy. So you kind of have the third house also tends to represent student, whereas the ninth represents teacher. So you have this, you know, the chat to chat and the chat for deeper content. You know, or even the difference between the social butterfly and the hermit. So again, we have these two opposites that really make up a spectrum of one overarching thing, right? This whole spectrum that goes all the way from chatty to deep philosophical hermit. Same spectrum. That's what we have to grasp, is that all of these things are the same spectrum, right? The I-we, same spectrum. Stability versus change and transformation, same spectrum. Okay, we're going to move on now to the fourth house. I don't know if people are familiar with the IC and MC. So there's bones in the chart. We'll talk about, I call them bones. We'll talk about them at further videos. But it basically makes an X down the chart. You have your ascendant and descendant as one line, and your IC-MC is the other line. When things interact with these bones, it's really significant, and you will feel it in your life. I've actually found this to be one of the best predictors of when things happen. And so the fourth house of Cancer and the 10th house of Capricorn is the IC-MC axis. So these are really significant aspects of your life. And so Cancer is the moon, the mother, the nurturer. In houses, it becomes your home, your family, your lineage, right? Family patterns, roots, things like that. Your deeper self. When we talk about the 10th house, opposite it, Capricorn, the opposite of Cancer is Capricorn. And, you know, instead of, Cancer's the crab. And it's like it doesn't go directly at its goal. It kind of passive aggressive goes over here and then over there. And, I'm just going to hide in my shell for a while. And Capricorn is the goat. It is going to climb to the highest mountain. Capricorn is often thought of king of business. One sure-footed step at a time. It's always making sure that every step is secure. But it will get to the top. And Capricorn is also an earth sign, a very stable sign, and a powerful sign. And so the fourth house of Cancer is home, lineage. Just like I said, the 10th house, which is Capricorn, is your reputation, your societal standing, your career. So when things happen where people have a big thing against their reputation, usually there's something going on pretty significant with that MC. It doesn't always mean that is what will happen, but that's one of the things I would look for. So the fourth and the 10th, home and society, right? Moving to our fifth house, fifth sign, Leo, the lion, fire, right? Warmth. And opposite it is the 11th, Aquarius, the water bearer. Now, Aquarius is actually an air sign. People get that confused because he's bearing water, but he's an air sign. Air is of the mind, right? And it's a very mental sign. It's very cerebral. They do a lot of thinking. They live primarily in their mind. And the water bearer, the water often represents emotion or nurture, but they're carrying it to the village. And the reason that's significant is because Aquarius is community. And Aquarius is much more objective. Maybe you can hear multiple sides of view. Air signs in general are more objective. And they, so they kind of bring this objective community together. Whereas Leo, the 5th house, is about creativity, about fun. It's the fire, and I think of that as the roaring fire, whereas Aries is the spark. Leo is the roaring fire. In the middle of the town center is the roaring fire that brings the community. See how this is a spectrum? Okay. As we move to the last one, the 6th house is Virgo, 6th sign, and the 12th is Pisces. And Virgo is very perfectionistic, can tend towards anxiety. They tend to worry a lot about the daily tasks and the things that need to be done. And the 12th house and Pisces is much more nebulous. It's much more murky, go with the flow. We'll see how things go. And so it's not quite so planned. There can be some anxiety or existential anxiety with Pisces, absolutely. But it's more of a beingness. So there's kind of like Virgo, the earth sign, is attending to the order of our physical lives, which is important. We're here in body and we need to attend to that. And along that same spectrum is Pisces, right on the other end, with the merging or the beingness of spirituality, which is also important because we're not just physical beings. And so you see, again, it's the whole axis from the daily tasks to the spiritual beingness. This is they're both ends of the same spectrum. They share an energy or an understanding about life. And ideally, when we're healthy and have flexibility, we can walk that spectrum and use it to its full extent. So when we have a lot of planets in one area and there's nothing in that other opposite, sometimes it can be very helpful when someone comes in or a transit comes through and really gives us some balance. I've experienced that myself. So we'll talk more about this. We'll talk about houses, what it means with the different planets in the houses. And we'll talk about first how to find that out, where to go and how to look that up. Because my understanding is that's where people are starting to get confused is, okay, I kind of know my signs, but what do these houses mean and what does it mean where they are? So that's where I plan to go next. I hope this was helpful to you. I look forward to future videos and thank you for watching.